But yeah, so basically I alluded to the fact that I was going to talk kind of about my struggles and everything with suicide, as you know, it's a charity. But basically, yeah, I mean, I may as well just start from the beginning, which is I have been suicidal since I was about, I guess, first time I thought about committing suicide was probably when I was about 10. And then overall had kind of consistent thoughts about it since I was about 12 and a half, I'd want to say. And for a while it was kind of just, you know, let me get, it's going to be a cliche, but I'm going to get some background music going just so that it's not just me going and sounding like a little baby. But basically, coughing, of course. I have been actively struggling with it though for, like, really actively struggling with it for the past, I'd want to say, year and a bit. Because basically when I was 8 or whatever, I just, you know, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I was an 8-year-old, for crying out loud. But I ended up going and I made a decision at one point in time that I think it was when I was like 10 and a half or something. I made the decision of, oh, well, I'm, you know, not going to go and ever kill myself because, you know, what would that do to my family? You know, I don't want them to have to deal with the repercussions of me going and doing that. So then things kind of started to change, specifically around, I want to say it was about September of not last year, but 2018. I don't know, my body's doing its best right now to keep me from actually saying anything. But basically, I was starting to have a bunch of family issues. My brother had just gotten back. If anyone had watched the stream, he went to a mission down in Peru for a bit. So, you know, he'd just come back from that. He wasn't too stable, and then we'd been sharing a room ever since I was, you know, born, essentially. And I went and, while he was away, I got the room to myself. I had to reorganize whatever I knew that once he ended up getting back. So then once he got back, we ended up going and having the shared room again. And that was fine for a bit, but then a few months went by and just, he was in a bad place, whatever, and then he ended up going and having a bit of a breakdown at one point. Ended up snapping my shirt hanger. I guess not shirt hanger, shirt hanging rack. It was just 2 pieces of wood glued together. Ended up snapping that in half, at which point I just didn't feel safe in the room anymore, so I ended up moving. Literally, you can't see it because it's covered in boxes, but the couch there, that was my bed for like 4 months, because we were trying to figure out what we were going to do to have a room set up for me. And during that time, it's when I was kind of starting to really get into Twitch streaming. I think it was about July or so. I'd met a streamer who, she's gonna go unnamed because I'm not gonna go and end up putting all this on her just because there's far more issues that, you know, she probably has to worry about at this point. But basically, you know, I was 17 at the time, and I just started watching her streams, ended up chatting, ended up getting a pretty good relationship with her. But the thing is, I had a arguably disabilitating issue, which was, I mean, I just gotta come out and say it, I over masturbate. I mean, literally, it would be 3 times a day at least. And the thing is, I'm a semi-religious individual, so obviously I didn't want to do it in the first place. But then I ran into the issue of, you know, when I was doing the deed to, I would go and end up, because the thing is, it also wasn't ever like porn, it was always just weird stuff, specifically certain articles of clothing, not even like lingerie or anything. I'm not gonna get into the details on it, but basically, you know, something that people wouldn't normally think you'd be into, and then here I am just doing grotesque things to do it. And thing is, I ended up going and manipulating her to a certain way to where she was giving me pictures of said things so that I could do the deed. And then eventually ended up, you know, just talking in her chat, because basically with the family issue thing, I ended up also, the relationship with my mom was really deteriorating. It's still not great right now. My relationship with my dad was pretty bad. My sisters, it wasn't great. Obviously the one with my brother was really not in a great place. If I had to stay in that room, I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd have at least severely hurt me, if not potentially killed me. But basically, you know, so going to this person's stream was my escape. It was my safe place where it was essentially my therapy sessions. And I vent really heavily, like far heavier than I really should have been. And then because of that, obviously the gal was like, okay, this isn't cool, you know, seek actual help. I can be here as a friend, but whatever. Ended up going in at one point in time telling her, you know, got the masturbation issue, and then she's like, oh no, it's not that bad. And then, you know, I'm trying to get her like on my side of like, no, this is debilitating, it's causing me immense grief. And then I ended up going and, you know, telling her like, yeah, you know, the pictures you've been sending me, that's what I've been doing it with. At which point then she was just kind of like, okay, this kid's insane. You know, 17 at the time, she's like 24, 25. And then from there, things just started to go downhill. Basically, I would go... one of the things is she'd never wanted anyone to really know her name in her chat, but she ended up at one point in time having a call from her family who kept referring to her by name, and so obviously I picked up on that. I can pick up on things very easily, which sometimes isn't necessarily the best. So then basically I went and started, you know, being more just completely dead inside. Just, here's all the crap that I've got, help me with it. If nothing else, just get it out and have it said to a person. And then one day, I mean, because the thing is, it wasn't that I was just going and doing this and, you know, constantly dumping, but like I was aware of it. Just, well, then why are you doing it? That's part of my messed up brain. But then basically I ended up going, and I would occasionally just be like, hey, either on my own I would say, I'm just not going to chat, I'm going to be here though, or I'd end up going and saying like, hey, can you just ban me because I know that I'm going to be way too bad. And then one time she ended up being like, no, I'm not going to ban you, just, you know, toughen up. I mean, I can't remember. Basically, she was trying to be sympathetic and like, just don't, you can, you know, still be here and be sane and not dumping. And then I'm like, oh, well, I know something that will get me to ban you. I guess get you to ban me, whatever the terminology there is. And so then just typed your name in chat, immediate ban. And like, I'd joked around with it before, which, whatever with that. But just as soon as she saw that, she was just done. Just absolutely done with me. And, you know, to me, it was still just one of those, okay, I'm banned for a bit, you know, so I'm not dumping after a bit. And then I'm like, okay, you know, I think I'm fine. I can just talk regularly. Went and tried to get into talk, tried contacting her mods, tried contacting her, just, I mean, basically her mods were telling me, like, if she's not willing to, we can't do anything. Ended up trying to talk to her, wasn't getting anything. Turns out she just completely blocked me on everything. And then, you know, having that was bad enough. You know, having basically my one sole reason to do anything just stripped away from me because of my own actions, you know, that hurt. But then the overbearing side of me, the side that wanted to still hold on to that relationship, decided to do something really, really stupid. Which was that I made, or I guess I had a second account that I'd been using for a bot before. And I went into her streams trying to pretend I was a different person. You know, basically saying, oh, that boundary you put up? Nah, screw that. I don't care about it. And then, you know, for the first bit, I mean, I ended up, I'll get to that later. But, you know, for a bit I was, I mean, because basically I realized I was being just so depressing in it that I'm like, okay, I'm going to just try to go and show, hey, I can be different. I can be positive. Basically, everything I said was positive. Like, I mean, whether it was to chat members, whether it was to her, I mean, the thing is, because I was under Mr. Baconite for the longest time, so I'd named myself, and then this was Bruce Bot. It's also, I don't want to associate with Mr. Baconite, the name, anymore, because that's just all the stuff with that. But, you know, then I was going under the guise of Bruce Bot, spelled with a C, whatever. But basically, I was trying to go and do that. And then I remember literally first stream I'm in there, felt so good, you know. I ended up going and talking, you know, being super positive. And I mean, it was a thing in her chat to, you know, meme on her whenever she was doing poorly, whatever. And then I just was like, you know what? Sure, it might have been fun, but I'm trying to be different. So then I was just like, because I think it was, she'd gone to go get a drink or something, and then her chat was like, hey, time to go and, you know, meme on her, crap on her, whatever. And I'm just like, guys, like, no, that's just rude. It's not funny. To which she comes back and she's like, man, you're so great. You're so positive. Like, exact words were, I love you, Boostbot. Which, hearing that now really, really hurts. Because at the time it was a thing of like, hey, I can be positive. I can be someone that she wants to do things with. And then that went on for, I think, a month. And then, I mean, I was really bad about hiding my identity. And I wasn't necessarily trying to fully hide it, you know. obviously I didn't want her to go and be like, hey, it's me, Mr. Baconite, under a different account, I can be better now. Whatever, I wasn't wanting to do that. I was wanting to go in and be like, hey, you know, obviously it's easy to tell that it's me, but it's not like it's painfully obvious until it got to the point where it was. And then basically at one point she figured it out, and I mean, it was obvious to me the way she was talking about Bruce Spot. It was like, yeah, she clearly knows. And then just one day, it was just, I mean, and this had been starting to just eat at me, the fact that, you know, she has no idea it's actually me. I feel like I'm lying to her and myself. Then I ended up going and, you know, just being like, hey, you know, I want to share something with you that I haven't shared with anyone else. And then she's like, oh, you know, she'd been kind of in a happier mood that day. And then as soon as I said that, she's just like, oh, okay, what is it? I'm like, oh yeah, it's my name. Oh, what's your name? Jacob. Which point, again, banhammer. And then the thing is, you know, I'd been in her chat every day for like the past month as this super positive guy, and so it didn't go unnoticed that all of a sudden Bruce Spot's no longer here. He's been banned. What's going on? And basically the explanation that she gave was, once there was a little boy who wanted every stream he ever went into to be about himself and nothing else. Once there was a little streamer who was tired of his BS, and so she banned him. And then he went in under a fake name, and she figured it out and got tired of it. At which point, that was in late February of 2019, and at that point I was completely ready to kill myself. Basically, I had at that point literally no other reason to exist. I mean, religiously, I was basically dead. I ended up having basically, I ended up getting a blessing of sorts, which was kind of like, you know, here's God's plan for you, whatever. And basically everything in that, at least from what I could translate out of it, was like, yeah, I mean, there was one specific line which was, protect your virtue with all your might, because you don't know it now, but it means more to you than your life. Obviously, with the masturbation thing, that wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have a job. I guess at that point I did have a job. I'd just barely gotten hired on. I actually, no, it was probably it was the end of March? No, it was the end of February. And then ended up going, and family life wasn't good. Religious life wasn't good. Work life was there. I had no friends to do anything with, hardly. And then, I don't know why, but I was talking with one of my religious leaders, and basically I just decided to tell him I'm considering killing myself very heavily. At which point, got put in the hospital, spent a week there, and then, you know, while I'm there, it's like, oh hey, I actually feel good. Mostly it was because I was actually interacting with people similar age to me. I was making relationships, but of course, it's a mental hospital. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, now just stay friends. You know, there was no contact information spread. And then after that, I went on with my life for a bit. And then it's just been a constant struggle. I mean, some times are better than others. I mean, for crying out loud, last 2 days I was thinking of numerous ways that I could just kill myself. Because I mean, obviously I want this streaming thing to be able to be successful, but I've got no guarantee with that. I mean, it's really sad. Like, I'll look at other people who have made it online. And like, the thing is, I can see the pattern, you know, the hard work, the community building, whatever. Like, I can see how it comes together. And then I just look at it and I'm like, but I don't see it happening for me. Well, the thing is, I mean, that's the biggest issue that I struggle with suicide, is that I see everyone else as having more value than me. So I just don't want to hurt people. And I mean, did therapy for a little, that didn't go anywhere. Ended up having a very interesting Ace Kings. Hey, what's up? What's up? Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the stream. We're actually just about to finish up here. Just finishing a bit of a story. But yeah, basically, at this point, I'm doing my best to stay here. Some days are far worse than others. Most days it's like, okay, just make it through the day. Obviously, I didn't stream yesterday. That's just because it was a really bad day yesterday. The thing is, there's always hope. I mean, obviously, I'm still here. It's not like you sound sad. Just telling a bit of a story about me and good old this thing. Good old suicide prevention. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm still here. I hope that I don't end up doing something stupid with the next bit. Went to Japan, Tokyo 2 months ago, still stuck here. Ooh, you must have gotten there like right as quarantine was starting. That's rough. I'm hoping you're enjoying Japan at least a little though. But as I end the stream, I want to go ahead and do this. Whenever it decides to go through. There we go. $50 donated to help to keep people like me, numerous other people, from doing the worst mistake in their life. City is crazy. I've had to move to the village. Ooh, interesting. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, I will be finishing up, be streaming tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. Still gonna try to raise that $300. We might reach it, we might not. Really, this is kind of just, it's something that I struggle with, something that I know a lot of other people struggle with, and I just want to get it out there, try to help as many people as I can. So with that though, that is going to do it for me tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed the stream. If you can always find the donation link down below. Willing to try, it's good enough. Yeah, that's the thing. Just, I mean, some days, believe me, I know it is so hard to think that tomorrow even has a chance of coming, but just find something that makes you, at least, I mean, for me, it's not a thing of, oh, I do find something that makes me happy. It's more a thing of, I find something that just makes me feel numb, essentially. I mean, obviously, I love streaming. It's just my head doesn't really like me, so anytime I'm like, oh yeah, I should stream, it's like, no, here's all the reasons you shouldn't stream. You don't deserve this. You don't, whatever. But yeah, just, if you're struggling with suicide, call the hotline. Just 1-800-273-8255. Do some things. You'll be happier. Go travel, try new things. Yeah. All sorts of things that you can do. The thing is, obviously, this is an insane time to be living in right now. The whole pandemic and everything. It's nothing certain, but you can always be certain that tomorrow's coming. And with that, traveling right now is a little like, yeah, just a little bit. But that's gonna go ahead and do it for me tonight. Hope you stay safe. Hope you stay happy. And I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, whatever the case may be for you. Remember to stand tall, reach upwards.